So Eaglemoss doesn't have a huge range of Battlestar Galactica themed ships, but obviously there are a few standout obvious ones to have, and this of course is a modern Basestar rather than an original series Basestar. The irony from my point of view is that it does exactly the same thing as the original Basestar did, i.e. it hauls lots and lots of Cylon raiders around that do all the dirty work for it. I am seriously, I can't recall if this ship actually has anything in the way of ship-to-ship weapons apart from its raiders. It's a sort of curious choice that the Cylons seem to have made to basically use overwhelming fighter numbers to try and clobber these incredibly heavily armoured Battlestars that can largely shrug off what the fighters can throw at them, apart of course from nukes. Throw enough nukes at them, they will start getting concerned. But I'm not sure if the nukes are ever actually fired by the Basestars. So they are they're kind of glass ships in that sense. And of course, you know, we do see that the Pegasus Battlestar, which is a more modern version of Galactica, has these thumping forward cannons that can absolutely tear a hole through a Basestar. Always assuming, of course, they can bring themselves to bear on the Basestar. So you know, they are a curious choice of capital ship, but I guess, you know, carriers are carriers for a reason, because they are there to carry other ships. They are not there to be battleships, but then the Cylons don't have battleships, so it's kind of an odd kind of gap in their arsenal, to my mind. So you can see here that they've done away with the classic sort of how do you describe them, sort of hemispherical Basestars, and they've gone for this sort of three-pronged overlapping effect. And obviously they've now got these sort of more organic systems built into these ships as well, and a whole sort of network that the humanoid formed Cylons can interact with. So, you know, they are very much a more modern version of the old school Basestars, and yet functionality wise they seem to have very much sort of stuck with what they know, basically. Oops, sorry about that. That will have been loud for you. So let's get her out. Let's see what she's. Oh, that's a nice weight to it. That's a lovely weight to it. As I said, I said this in my last video actually. As I've looked at a few of late which aren't terribly metallic, but this one is very metallic. I mean, that could be a lethal weapon. That could be a blinking throwing star if you're not careful, let alone a Basestar. But that's a really nice weight. Some really sort of fascinating patterns to it there, actually. I guess that's reflective of its more organic, sort of modern stylings of the Cylons in the Reimagined series. But as you can see, you know, there's a sort of a hint of the old text stylings on the sort of interior sides around the hub of it there, where the raiders sort of come out of. But I mean, the raiders do come out of there at the rate of knots, and it's obviously a pretty significant number that they hold. And as I say, you know, it's really all about the numbers for the Cylons. But as we discover later in the series, of course, the raiders themselves are also now somewhat organic, and they can actually learn from getting blown up, somewhat ironically. So when they do come back and are reincarnated, they actually come back as more competent fighters next time round. So it was a serious challenge for the colonial fleet to try and keep up with it. And you can see, I think they're probably pretty much dead on identical pieces, and so it makes you wonder why they don't just launch them as singles, really. You know, you could have double the number for half the manufacturing speed, if you like. But very interesting, because it's not, you know, there's not a lot of, there's a sort of symmetry to it. I mean, I suppose, you know, when you look at it like that, but it's not bilateral, so it is quite an unusual spacecraft shape for you know, for any given series. That so it's quite a brave move on their part, because people looking at that although having two halves to it is very much original Basestar, having two halves that aren't identical is not original Basestar. So it's kind of, it's slightly confusing almost when you see them for the first time, because you sort of wonder how that evolved into that particular form rather than the original form, which seemed to have, you know, nothing particularly wrong with it. And this has similar advantages in that the central spoke is quite well shielded from direct fire, because it's hidden, it's sandwiched in between two fairly significant chunks of hull. So I'm guessing that it sits like that. So, you know, it's yeah, it's a really nice, I mean, it's a nice display piece if nothing else, which I guess is the point, you know, at the end of the day. That's why we stick these things on stands, of course, rather than whooshing them about the place, honestly. But it is prettier than the original Basestar, if you know, if that's a factor in your buying decisions. So that will go on my Cylon shelf, and I just need to hunt down a reimagined Battlestar Galactica now, which has been one of those really elusive ships that I just have not been lucky enough to spot coming into stock at the right sort of time for my purposes. But I'm probably going to have a look after this video actually, and just see if it has popped back onto the website, so I can try and pick one up. Even if it's only on pre-order, that would be quite useful, because right now my Basestars are going to outnumber my Battlestars, which is obviously not a good idea from the human point of view. But there you are. So yeah, I mean, I would certainly want that in my collection. There's no two ways about it. I think it definitely warrants being in if you're at all a fan of that reimagined series, because obviously, you know, these are the seminal ships that get sent up against the Battlestars in numbers typically, so that they can launch this overwhelming number of fighters at them. And like the Battlestars, they're completely jump capable. They can jump in and out, and their operating system and the way in which the Cylons interact with them is really, really interesting as well, because obviously it's completely removed from the switches and the standard sort of layouts that the Battlestar have to try and sort of prevent virus intrusion by these Basestars. So yeah, it's yeah, it's a nice addition. That I'm pretty happy with that, and I'm particularly happy that it's very solid. You know, it's very metal. It's not as plasticky as some things that I've had through of late. So I'm very happy about that as a concept. So yeah, and that does come to the end of my current collection. As I say, I'm just really looking to fill out a few gaps now. Eaglemoss are tempting me with the Expanse ships. I'm behind on the Expanse. Haven't seen all of it yet quite. I've even bought the books actually, so I've got the books to have a look at in due course. Not that I seem to ever find time to read these days, but you know, such is life. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them as they come out, because I might have to get the odd one or two of those as well, which probably means I need to go to IKEA to buy some more shelves and possibly shelving units, but I'd rather just buy some more shelves, quite frankly, because it's getting a bit silly now. So yeah, with that I shall leave you to have a ponder over that, and as and when I do find some more of my gaps, I will stick a video up on here about those too. Alright, cheers for now.